I never believed in ghosts. Not really. Sure, I had my share of childhood fears. The dark, the creaking of old wooden floors, the feeling that something unseen was watching me from the corner of my bedroom. But I always chalked them up to an overactive imagination. That was until last autumn when I visited Hollow Creek. Hollow Creek was a forgotten town nestled between dense forests and misty hills, a place that barely showed up on maps. My friend Daniel had insisted we go for a weekend camping trip, promising breathtaking landscapes and an escape from the city's suffocating noise. I was reluctant, but something about the way he spoke of the place intrigued me, as if there was more to it than just its beauty. We arrived just before dusk. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. An old man at the gas station, the only sign of civilization for miles, warned us to be careful. "Don't wander too deep," he muttered while filling up our tank. "People go missing in those woods." We laughed it off. Every small town had its legends. That night, we set up our tent near the creek. The water, though calm, carried an eerie stillness. The fire crackled, illuminating our faces in flickering shades of orange and red. We talked and laughed, but as the night grew colder, a strange unease settled in my chest. It felt like the darkness around us was growing, creeping closer, watching. Then we heard it, a whisper, low and distant. At first I thought it was the wind playing tricks, but the sound was deliberate, almost human. I locked eyes with Daniel. He had heard it too. We turned off our flashlights, letting the moonlight guide our gaze towards the trees. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, shifting as if something moved within them. Then a soft crunch of leaves, a footstep. "Hello," Daniel called out. Silence. Then more footsteps, this time quicker, closer. My skin prickled. I reached for my pocket knife, my grip tightening. The fire between us sputtered, its light dimming, and for a brief moment I swore I saw a figure standing just beyond the trees. Tall, unmoving, watching. Daniel shone his flashlight toward the spot, but there was nothing there. Just trees swaying gently in the breeze. "Maybe it's an animal," he said, forcing a chuckle, but I could hear the unease in his voice. That night, I barely slept. Every rustle of leaves, every gust of wind sent my heart hammering against my ribs. At some point, exhaustion took over, and I drifted into an uneasy sleep. Then I woke up. Not from a noise, not from a nightmare, but from a feeling. A suffocating pressure on my chest. My body was paralyzed, my breath shallow. I tried to move, but my limbs felt like lead. And then, in the dim moonlight filtering through the tense fabric, I saw it. A shadow. It loomed over me, inches from my face. No eyes, no features, just darkness in the shape of something vaguely human. It didn't move, didn't breathe. It just stood there. I wanted to scream, to call out for Daniel, but no sound came. My throat felt like it was filled with ice. My vision blurred, darkness swallowing my senses. Then suddenly, I could move again. I shot up, gasping for air. The tent was empty except for me. Daniel's sleeping bag was unzipped, his boots gone. "Daniel?" I called out, my voice shaking. No response. I unzipped the tent and stepped into the cold night. The fire had burned out completely, leaving behind smoldering embers. The forest stood silent, an unnatural stillness wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. Then I saw the footprints, leading away from our camp, disappearing into the trees. My stomach twisted into knots. I followed them. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me still hoped to find Daniel safe, playing some stupid prank. But as I ventured deeper, the air grew heavy, thick with the scent of damp wood and something else, something metallic. Then I saw it. Daniel's flashlight lay on the ground, flickering weakly. His backpack was torn open, its contents strewn across the forest floor. And there, smeared across the bark of the tree, was something dark. Blood. A cold dread gripped my spine. "Daniel?" I whispered, barely able to form the word. A sound, low and guttural, came from the trees ahead. I turned my flashlight in that direction, and for a fraction of a second, I saw something. Not Daniel. Something tall, hunched, with hollow black pits where eyes should be. Its fingers were long, almost claw-like, and they twitched as it took a step toward me. I ran. I don't remember much after that. Just the pounding of my feet against the forest floor, the burning in my lungs, and the feeling of being chased. Branches clawed at my skin, shadows twisted around me. I didn't stop until I saw the first hints of dawn breaking through the trees. I never found Daniel. The authorities searched for weeks, but there was no trace of him. They ruled it an accident, another hiker lost in the woods. But I know what I saw. I don't go camping anymore. And sometimes late at night, when I close my eyes, I still hear the whisper, calling my name.